Ladies and gentlemen, the Shreveport City Council is now called to order. I'm going to ask that my friend, former Councilman Michael Corbin. Mike, would you come do the invocation, please? Invocation for us. And I'm going to ask Councilman, now Councilman D, Councilman Butcher, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mike.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Help us to make good decisions and support our leaders in ways that we can support them in supporting our city and making our city a better place for all of us to live. Be with the different groups that are here today that are doing their good deeds and here to seek some recognition for that. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to live in this city, this state, in this country, and have the freedoms that we enjoy daily. Amen.
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 Thank you, Mike.
If you would, face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Taylor, present. Councilwoman Fuller, here. Councilman Nicholson,
Present.
Councilman Butcher,
Here.
Councilman Ford,
Here.
Councilman Green,
I'm here.
and Councilman Cole.
Now, do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Green, second by Vice Chair Taylor, is this correct? And will there be any discussion on the minutes? Okay, let's vote. That motion is approved with 6 in the chamber and 1 out. I recognize Councilwoman Fuller at this time.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to call up some faculty from Centenary and the President, Dr. Holloman, please. And after some remarks from Dr. Holloman, Danielle, will you please read the resolution pertaining to Centenary?
Good afternoon. Nice to see all of you, friends. It is my privilege to represent Centenary College today. You are honoring, and we are honoring over the next several weeks, one of our distinguished faculty members, Dr. Andia Augustine Billy, who has recently been tenured and is the first African American to be tenured at Centenary College in its long history. It is a measure of the esteem that, as her students call her, Dr. Abe, is known. The representation from Centenary, in addition to myself, we have our provost, we have our chief financial officer, our chaplain, Dr. Abe's mentor at Centenary, Dr. Dana Kress, and I probably have missed some people. Centenary, as you know, has been in Shreveport for more than 110 years. In 2025, we will celebrate our bicentennial. We are proud of our history. We are proud of our role in Shreveport. We know that, like any long-lived institution in the South, we have things in our history that we are not proud of, and we work to acknowledge those. But today and moving forward, we celebrate this milestone of racial justice, and I am so proud of Dr. Abe. Thank you.
Thank you.
A resolution honoring Dr. Andia Augustine Billy as the first African American faculty member to tenure at Centenary College of Louisiana in their 196-year history. Whereas Dr. Augustine Billy received her PhD in French Language and Literature, her MA in French Language and Literature, and a certificate in Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. She received her BA in French Language and Literature from Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy served as an assistant professor from July 2015 until she became an associate professor of French and Francophone Studies in July 2021 at Centenary College of Louisiana. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy's teaching and research fields include French literature, Francophone literature, French language, literary theory, feminist theory, performance studies, cultural studies, Haitian studies, women, gender, and sexuality studies, and African diasporic studies, post-colonial. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy's publications include When Black Women Speak Up and Speak Out in Ferdinand Ono's novels, A Conversation with LeVar Monroe in Devil in a White City, a painting series by LeVar Monroe, Saints Search for Home, and The Disabled Body in the Fablio. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy is a member of the Academic Policy Council and is currently serving as a faculty advisor for La Légion d'Honneur Louisiane and faculty advisor and organizer for Le Table Francais and the faculty advisor for L'Écriture Française LLC and the editor of Le Titimar French language newspaper in the Department of Foreign Languages at Centenary College, and has chaired and served on numerous other committees at Centenary College. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy is a member of the American Association of University Professors, African Studies Association, Caribbean Studies Association, Haitian Studies Association, and Modern Language Association. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy is the recipient of numerous awards, grants, and fellowships, including the Milan Emerging Faculty Leaders Award in 2019, the Harry Blake Education Award in 2018, and the William C. Arsenault Chair in French Studies since 2015. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy speaks 4 languages fluently, English, French, Haitian Creole, and Spanish. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy spends the summers traveling with centenary students to Haiti, teaching Haitian culture and traditions, and travels with the incoming freshman class to Paris, France, teaching Paris Noir class, which explores the life and history of African Americans in France. And whereas Dr. Augustine Billy is married to a local attorney, Emmanuel Billy, and is the mother of a daughter and 2 sons. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City Council honors Dr. Andia Augustine Billy as the first African American faculty member to tenure at Centenary College of Louisiana in their 196-year history.
Dr. Augustine Billy, would you mind just making a few brief remarks, and then we can hopefully get together with Mayor Perkins to take a photograph?
There are some things that you don't, oh, I'm so rude. Hello, hi. I am so honored and so touched. I have dreamt of Black women that I see make history, right? People who have gone before me, and I've always wondered, like, how did they get there? I came to Centenary not realizing or not knowing that I was going to make history, that I was going to be the first Black of anything. I was just looking for a job after after grad school, and oh my God, I am deeply honored that Centenary has given me an opportunity to teach, because that's what I love to do. I love being in the classroom. There is no other place where I feel that I can impact not only current students, but future generations, mold them, challenge them, sometimes make them be angry with me, but that's also part of of growth in learning and in teaching. And I am incredibly thankful to Dr. Holloman, who is here, Provost Soul, who is here, my big brother and Councilwoman Fuller, who has taken it upon herself, and you all to recognize this moment, because it is essential that we pause and that we ask, why one in 2021? It is essential that we pause and that we ask why it has taken so long to get there, right? The answers, they are complex, they are multiple, but at least it'll give us a minute, hopefully longer, to try to come up, those of us who can, to ensure that Black scholars, Black professors are not an anomaly, that Black scholars and professors take rightfully their place in American classrooms everywhere. Thank you so very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Billy, I would like to, as my daughter graduated from Centenary in 2020, and I believe that she was in one of your inaugural classes whenever you started to work at Centenary, and she still talks about you. So the impact you have is great. So congratulations.
Mrs. White, tell us where you want us. At the podium? Are you the tallest president we've had?
That's pretty close.
Dr. Schwab wasn't the tallest one.
Oh, I'm certainly the tallest person here, yes.
No?
And then, James, I got one too.
Okay, bro.
I'm gonna come after him. I got one. Hey, Jerry.
He's not very cute, but
Hey, Jerry. Good. You open your drink and you drink.
Council, thank you for indulging.
I don't want to pick it. Huh? I'm gonna just wipe it out.
Hey, what?
we'll see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to recognize Project Celebration, and if I can have the clerk read the proclamation, please. If y'all would like to come up.
A resolution recognizing Project Celebration for its work to prevent and to assist the victims of domestic violence to support Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas Project Celebration is an organization committed to helping individuals and families enhance their ability to live successfully in the community, one program offered by Project Celebration is the Domestic Violence Program with shelters. And whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, gender, and income levels. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and abuse. And whereas domestic violence is widespread and affects over 4 million Americans each year. And whereas women in Louisiana are killed at a rate twice the national average. And whereas children maternal victims of domestic violence experience lifelong repercussions from the trauma of domestic violence exposure. And whereas only a coordinated community effort will put a stop to the heinous crime of domestic violence. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to increase awareness about preventing domestic abuse and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide life-saving advocacy, services, and assistance to victims. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that it recognizes Project Celebration, Inc. for its work to prevent domestic violence and for the services and assistance it provides to victims of domestic violence.
I'd like for the mayor and Councilman Taylor.
Yeah, and I too have a resolution that I'll present you guys as well.
I just wanted to say on behalf of Project Celebration and all of the survivors of domestic violence that we serve, we thank all of you and all the individuals that came here today. Without you guys, it wouldn't be something that we could do. Thank you for this proclamation and your continued support.
That's it.
Mr. Chair, Dr. Kim Pendleton and dads on duties, would you all please come to the front? And while coming to the front, I want to give kudos and accolades to the 40-plus fathers that took it upon themselves to make sure that our children who attend Southwood High School would see the relevance of fatherhood in their classrooms. As we know that the city was overwhelmed by the number of fights that were taking place at Southwood High School, and these men stepped up to the plate and said, it's something that we need to do. So I am excited. Councilman Flory is elated because this is in his district.
Right.
And these fathers are receiving not only local attention, but national attention. Tomorrow they will be featured on CNN with Don Lemon. Last night they were featured on Roland Martin's show. We've had the tweet from Will Smith, accounts from Drew Barrymore, and other fine actors and actresses across the world. But most of all, we are proud of you right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I just want to give you an overwhelming applause because there is nothing like the impact of a father, an uncle, a grandfather, and you are definitely making a difference. Dr. Pendleton, I know how well and how much you love your students because my son had the privilege of being under your leadership as well. So kudos to you for even opening your hearts. But I want to give you the opportunity to say a few words and just let us give you overwhelming applause right now.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mr. Flores, and other council members. Thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words, Ms. Taylor. I remember your child at Huntington High School when I was an assistant principal and a teacher. This is overwhelming, and I'm just going to tell you, a couple of weeks ago as we went into fall break after everything had happened, I was lying in my bed, doing my meditation and wondering why all of this is happening to us, and in the middle of a pandemic. And so something had to be done. Something had to be done. We had a situation that we didn't know really how to deal with because we were taken unawares. And there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. These men, these wonderful men, are just the forefront. There's a lot of work that happens with them, conversations that we have, conversations within the community. There are women behind them. I'm one of them. And I think the main thing that we all have in common is that we believe in the whole child. And so children come every day to school and they want to be safe, they want to be happy, and they want to make sure that everyone that's there that's an adult allows them to get an education. And so we have some of the best schools in Caddo Parish. I happen to be at one of them. But our students, we charge them with providing leadership with us. We just couldn't do it by ourselves. And so as a result of me having conversations with all of these men, and it may be on the side of the football field, it may have been behind closed doors, what is it that we need to do? And that was the question they asked me. And a lot of times what happens is that we're in kindergarten, we're in the elementary setting, we're in the middle school setting, and there's a lot of parental support. And then parents always kind of back off as they get to high school. This is a time when students need us the most, when we guide them so that way they become presentable members of our society so we can be proud of. And so as a result, Southwood became a phoenix rising from the ashes. And so we've had a lot of national attention, but the main thing that we have is that these fathers have pledged to make sure that our students are taken care of indefinitely. We've had a lot of communities reach out to us asking us how we can emulate or how they can represent and duplicate the efforts that we're doing. And then most recently, actually this morning, we've been invited, myself and 2 fathers and a student has been invited to the National Student Safety Conference to do a presentation in Las Vegas, Nevada, on November 17th through the 19th. That's my love. It's about the research. It's about how we can help our communities at large. And so this is not the end. We want to make sure that everything happens nationwide, and this is why the Dads on Duties have pledged to expand their work, because we can, as mothers, we can raise children, we cannot raise our sons. And our girls need to have men that they can look up to make sure that they know what the best characters are. So I'm talking on behalf of them, but they have a lot of voices and they're very persistent. And so I want to thank you again, because I could not do my job without the support of the community or the support of the fathers at my school. So I appreciate it, and thank you so much for this honor.
You have our overwhelming support.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add, I guess me and the council people are on the same page today. I too asked them to come out today. And Dr. Penner, thank you so much for your leadership. We go back to graduation when we were sweating like crazy last year, but I've seen you guiding Southwood High School, and you know, I very much admire it. Thank you for welcoming to your campus the couple mornings that I stopped by. Absolutely. And was alongside these fathers as well. So thank you for your leadership. But I have a proclamation I want to quickly read off to the group. Whereas Dads on Duty is a group of concerned fathers who stepped up when they saw the need to provide leadership at our local school. Whereas the men who are members of the Dads on Duty organization each take shifts patrolling the hallways of Southwood High School to help ensure order and proper decorum. And whereas these community leaders serve as father figures to some of the students at the school and have been recognized nationally for their efforts, and whereas this organization has inspired similar efforts throughout the country and the city of Shreveport, is grateful for this extraordinary display and incredible example of citizenship in our community. Now therefore I, Adrian D. Perkins, Mayor of the City of Shreveport, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 26, 2021 is Dads on Duty Day. So I want to come down and get a picture, but I was just talking to the Washington Post about this, and by the way, they're looking for you, Dr. Pendleton. They said they've been calling you all day. Yeah, okay. And we talked about expanding the program, and I want to make sure we sit down with my community development department, because this is one of the most effective mentoring programs that I've seen up close and personal, and we would like to help you all see that vision through of expanding this program, not just here in Caddo Parish, but giving you a strong foundation to expand it around the country. So thank you all, and let's get this picture.
Mr. Lafitte? Mr. Lafitte? So you say a few words on behalf of the dads?
Yes, first off, Mayor, to this council, twofold. Before I go into the Dads on Duty spiel, I just want to thank this council and this parish the city for partnering up with an event on last Thursday that helped put over 116 people to put in applications, and I personally watched 12 of those folks get employed and hired on the spot. So thank you for that. Dads on Duty is an extremely special program, and what's crazy is we tapped into something that is simple. How hard is it to take care of what's yours? How hard is it to raise what you brought into the world? How hard is it to protect and be there for your own flesh and blood? So we didn't do anything that was special. We didn't do anything that was different. We did the right thing. And we've made a commitment to not only Southwood, not only to Caddo Parish, but we're making commitments daily to other parishes, to other school districts throughout this country, that what we started at Southwood is just only the beginning. It will take off. So thank you all. Thank you so very much.
Hello, how everybody doing?
All right.
Well, this approach came rather simple, I would say. And it wouldn't have been possible, if Mr. Lafitte didn't, have a small meeting just to try to come up with something. So we put our heads together, and God said, open your mouth. And I opened my mouth and I said, hey, I get up and I come to the school and I help the security watch not only my kids, but the rest of them. And none of this is possible without these guys behind me, because truth be told, it's the brains of the operation. It was just my idea, but we collaborate on everything we do because it's for them. Without the cameras and all that, we're going to get up every morning, we're going to check on these kids and make sure they are okay. And we're going to go to the next school and the next school and the next school, because I was one of those kids who grew up without two parents in the household. In a single parent household, a parent can only teach so much when she's working 12-hour shifts to take care of her kids. They only hope that they apply when they go to school or other places when their parents not around, to act accordingly. But I think with what we doing, we're going to help that situation. Because I can be a daddy to all of them. That's right. I'm big enough to do it. And as long as you got an approach, you got the right approach, you have their attention and you have their mind. That's it. It's simple. So I love y'all. Y'all have a nice day, and you can count on Dads on Duty.
All right.
How y'all doing?
All right.
I didn't know I was going to talk, but I was raised in the house where my father wasn't there. So when we came together for this idea, I thought about my children. I'm an active parent, but I said to myself, what could I do to help somebody that didn't have a father? And Mike called me at 3 o'clock for a 3:30 meeting, and I told him I said I could be there. And I didn't know at the time that we were going there for this. And I came in and saw Dr. Pennington. But what I did learn is that a relationship with the children is a very important thing. We learned that, me and him were the other day, it's been kids that's been not talking to us. And I just worked the full day today, just stayed up there the whole time, trying to stay the whole time. And just talking to these kids need attention, male attention. A lot of people don't know that when I came to school, my father wasn't there. So I was in the band, I didn't get to see him. I looked in the bleachers and didn't see him. So now for the children to be able to see a male figure that's supporting them, I think it's important in this community. That's really all I got to say. I'm just here for the reason to be a good father, and I hope that other fathers can see and get examples and set examples to their children.
Let them know you the band booster president.
Oh yes, I'm the band booster president. Yes, but thank y'all for this.
Thank y'all. So as I told Roland Martin last night when he asked about the children, because each one of them have children in the school, I'm the lone person who have no children. But turns out Jerry Lindsay, his son is like my nephew. I'm so proud of these guys because for 26 years advocating education, economic development, the whole nine, it's hard to find volunteers who are going to stand up to advocate, especially for children. And these guys are serious and they're committed. You don't have to be a father to now volunteer. I know people got grandchildren, nephews, nieces, cousins, or if you don't have any of them, you can still get involved in the system. And Mayor, when we talk about the city of Shreveport, most people just look at the elected officials or who is hired. But the citizens make up the city. The citizens make up the school board. The citizens make up the parish. The citizens make up the damn state. Okay? But they don't understand that. And so they're looking around for all of y'all to do something. They come to the schools and they want the teachers to fix things that are going on at home, and they want the teachers to do all this stuff. Well, this is why the concept of a village comes into play. And so whether you have children or whether you don't have children, you can play an active role in shaping children. Tabitha and I grew up in the Queensboro area, went to Fair Park High School, and I can tell you, we really didn't see a lot of fathers involved in the process. Miss Bobby Henderson, Mayor, Miss Bobby Henderson was a mother of 3. She was married. She was Cub Scout president. She was all of these things. And at the end of the day, she was also our Band Booster Club president. But we didn't have a lot of fathers. And so now with these guys, they now standing up and saying the fatherhood piece is actually there. So I thank them for their leadership, and I'm just a tag along without a child working with them.
We're proud of you. Thank you.
Councilman Green.
Chief Wayne Smith is Chief here?
He may be out before you. They'll get him there. Here he comes.
Chief. Chief, I'd like to just publicly thank you and all of those officers that showed up in the Goodwill parking lot on Saturday morning. It was just a beautiful sight to see that they were willing to take off work on their off day to come out to help clean up our city. It was just a beautiful sight, and I had said that I was going to get in the recruiting class, but I have second thought that, so I'm not going to do that. But you all were so wonderful, and it was great, and I just wanted to publicly thank you and tell them I said thank you.
I'll do just that. We had such a great time when we put out the call to come and be a part of this team for Saturday morning. The response was just overwhelming from police officers and police department employees in general who was off that day. We had police officers, communication officers, mechanics, just the whole family, and a lot of them brought their families. I stopped counting when we got to the number of 80 because I was afraid I was going to run out of pastries that I'd rushed to Walmart to buy. But we had a great time. We covered a large part of our community. We went into 5 of your council districts and chose an 8 to a 16 block area, and the response from the community was just overwhelming. It was just so heartfelt when people would come out of the house and wave, walk out the street and shake our hands and say thank y'all so much for coming out, helping to beautify our city and pitch in and help us. So it's a great feeling to get that kind of response from the community, and we look forward to next time being even bigger and better.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other council member? Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask Daphne Robinson to come forward, please.
Mr. Chairman,
I think the mayor had
I think I got.
Huh?
I think the mayor had
I
present.
got some announcements, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. And Councilman Green, just so you know, Me and my staff, we were cleaning up in your district as well. We were on Monk House. So we cleaned up
No,
too.
that's Councilman Bowman's district.
Monk House?
Yes, sir.
Oh, is it? I thought that was yours.
Oh, Lord, yeah,
I
he's
just
had
got,
us
I just got a
over.
little old piece of.
Well, you got
They
half
were
of
in
them.
your
You got
district.
half of Monk House. Let's tell it right.
Half of it
We were
is.
on the side with the airport. I'm pretty sure that's your
That's
district.
his,
'cause we were on
that's his
Hollywood
district.
too.
That's his district.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, he don't want to say thank you. That's okay, Councilman. That's okay. Henry was out there for 3.5
Mr. Mayor,
hours.
let me explain something. Jerry be in all our districts so much that I don't know when his district start or stop.
I got you.
We was at a community meeting. I promise you, ask Mr. Whitehorn. A lady comes up, she thanking Councilman Bowman. He wasn't even involved in our district. So he all over the citywide, so I don't know.
I got you.
If he said that's my part, that's my part. So thank you for this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I have a very special guest today who impressed me so much when I met her that she inspired me to do a student mayor of the day. Each month I will have a student join me here at a council meeting, also get an opportunity to meet our staff, take over mayoral duties, sit in the mayoral desk for a little bit. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Madison Stewart, who you see sitting right here.
Hey, Madison.
She is a 4th grader at Shreveport Elementary and brand new to Junior Lighthouse Leadership. I met her when she sat in the principal's chair during her interview for that particular position, and today she sits in the mayor's chair as the first student mayor. Her best leadership skill, according to Madison, is being respectful, and her favorite subject in school is math. At this time, Mayor Stewart will present the mayoral announcements for the day. There you go. Wow. You can take it off. Just speak into the mic.
I Love Shreveport citywide cleaned up was held over the weekend. Nearly 500 volunteers participated and 39 organizations signed up. Thank you to the Shreveport Police Department for setting the bar higher and having more than 65 officers participating. Thank you, Shreveport Green, for once again participating with us on this initiative. A next property standard sweep will be held in District B on Wednesday, October 27th. Starting at 8 a.m., citizens can bring trash, debris, and tires to Hattie Perry Park for disposal. This weekend, our community will be celebrating the late Reverend Dr. Harry Blake with the Harry Blake Social Justice and Empowerment Conference at Mount Keaton Baptist Church. Dr. Blake is a civil rights icon who paved the way for so many of us to enjoy the privileges we have today. This city is so very proud to join the many partners sponsoring this event. The Stable Health Fair will be held from 2 to 5 p.m. Saturday. We will have several city departments participating. I want to also take this time to apply Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor, who will be a recipient of the Harry Blake Award.
tell her she's your councilwoman.
Do it.
Yeah, tell her. Tell her that. Yeah.
She's my councilwoman. Shreveport's native Sharon Johnson will selected to work on the 133rd tournament for Roses Parade design team. Miss Johnson will leave for Pasadena, California on Christmas Day, where she will work with a handful of floral designer artists from all around the world. I would like to acknowledge Miss Johnson at this time. Please stand.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that wraps up our announcements for today, but I would like to present Madison. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I got one more exception, sorry. We have the Jack and Jill team here that would like to come up and give some remarks. Yeah, and also I'd like to acknowledge and thank you guys for participating in the Clean Shreveport campaign too.
Thank you. Greetings. I am Brandy Stevens, the Red River chapter of Jack and Jill of America chapter president. And I have with me our group of teens. We have children ages 2 to high school graduates that we support through our chapter. And through service projects, Jack and Jill of America creates a medium of contact for children to stimulate their growth and development through lobbying, educational programming, dissemination of educational materials, and the organization of community and charitable events. Jack and Jill has promoted the public awareness of interests of children, including child development, child growth, child quality of life, child care, and the promotion of children's rights. So it is really overwhelming to have this experience today. We move from celebrating our African American queen to our African American kings, and now our African American princesses and princes that we are surrounded by, for which our village exists. Thank you, CAO Henry Whitehorn. Thank you, Mayor Perkins. Thank you to the Director of Communications, Markel Sennett, for producing the informational video concerning the city operations. To the City Council, thank you. And our school board member, Darren Dixon, for making the request to Dr. Gorey for our children to be excused for such an occasion as this. This couldn't have been a better educational experience for this. We couldn't have planned this on a better day. To our host mothers, this is Mother Shondell, Mother Cynthia, and Mother Kim McCrae, who actually planned having us here. Thank you so much. And I would like to yield all further remarks to our teens, and we will start with, we refer to each other, our children, as Jack and Jill. So we will refer to our Jill Taylor, then Jill Madison, and then Jack Nick.
Hello everybody, I'm Jill Taylor, and I will give you some info on Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill of America Incorporated was founded in 1938 and has evolved into a strong national organization as a result of strong programming in the areas of cultural awareness, educational development, health, legislative, civic, and social recreational. Chapter programming is the heart of the organization. It is the way that we create a medium contract of children that stimulates growth and development. I would like to pass it on to Jill Madison.
This is Jill Madison.
This month's team program was a two-part activity focusing on government, recyclement, education, environment, and civic involvement. Part 1 has already taken place during our team monthly meeting. We appreciate our special guest by Zoom video, City Administrator Henry Whitehorn, sharing with us about our focus topics. As hosting Team Taylor, me, Team Madison, and Nicholas McCurry. We are grateful to be presented as a special guest of the Mayor and City Council today.
Thank you. Everybody's sitting here looking awkward. We're good. We're done. Thank you so very much. Can we take a quick picture if that's okay? Okay. Thank you. Team, no one dismiss you. Follow and wait for direction. Thank you. Go ahead, go take a picture, man. Come on together. I like to love each other. Come on. Come on. Short hair,
Thank you. Derek got on that green tie. Took me off.
Money. Mr. Chairman, I got one more picture to take. All right, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Ms. Roberts, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Please come forward. So good to see you today.
Very good to see all of you. Let me just say, I've never been to a Shreveport City Council meeting, but I've really enjoyed this meeting today. My name is Daphne Robinson, and I am the Director of Collective Impact for the City of Shreveport with the March of Dimes. I'm also a Louisiana lawyer. I've practiced for 25 years in the state. The last 4 years were at the Caddo Parish DA's office with Judge James Stewart in the juvenile court. I want to thank Mr. Bowman for the invitation to be here. I really appreciate it. I want to take this opportunity really to talk about the premature birth rate in the city of Shreveport and in the state. You know, despite so many advances in healthcare in our country, the United States is still probably one of the most dangerous places in the civilized world to have a child. Every day, 2 women die from pregnancy-related causes, and every hour 2 babies will die from preterm birth. And preterm birth is a birth before 37 weeks of gestation. Additionally, studies show that racism has a staggering effect on the health of communities in this country, resulting in significant health inequities. Black women are over 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than their white counterparts, and we know that COVID-19 and the pandemic have made these outcomes even worse. The March of Dimes is known for its report card. It issues a report card every year in the month of November. The new report card will come out in November of this year, but I want to tell you a little bit about last year's report card. The report card is prepared by the March of Dimes Perinatal Data Center, so it's all very research-based. In Louisiana, grades are given to states from A to an F. The state of Louisiana received an F grade in 2019. States that receive an A have a preterm birth rate of less than 7%, and states that receive an F grade have a preterm birth rate of 11.5% or more. The state of Louisiana in 2019 had a preterm birth rate of 13.1%. But what's even more shocking is that the city of Shreveport itself has a preterm birth rate of 13% as well, but among black women the rate of preterm birth is 20%, which is a staggering number. And so that's why we're here today, or I'm here today, to tell you about a project that we're working on. I mean, you know that children that are born premature have the risk of all kinds of disorders, neurological disorders, lung and respiratory disorders, as well as developmental delays. But the project that the March of Dimes has put in place is called Collective Impact. And one of the things that we're working on is trying to gather and harness the joy and passion that this community has for its citizens in this project. We understand that premature birth and reducing that number has so much more to do with, it's a complex social issue and it's not going to be resolved by one group of people or one organization. And so what we've done is try and create a collaborative by inviting all kinds of sector partners across the community to get involved. We've had 4 convening meetings, 2 task force meetings. The mayor was kind enough to allow his staff, Ms. Price, to participate in one of our task force meetings. And we've had a number of community partners provide input in what we call a common agenda. And that common agenda is our roadmap or our strategy for how we're going to reduce preterm births in this country and how we're going to reduce the preterm birth rate in this city specifically. This is a multi-year project. It's funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield and the Humana Foundation, and we are in the process of organizing our work groups. Those work groups are centered around strategies that involve culturally appropriate health care, engaging and raising the awareness of the community about this issue, and improving housing and economic supports for women and children in this country and in the city of Shreveport. Finally, I'd like the council to be aware that November is Prematurity Awareness Month, and that I'd like to respectfully request that the council and the mayor, at a time appropriate, recognize November as Prematurity Awareness Month in the city of Shreveport, and hopefully issue a proclamation or resolution acknowledging that. I'd also like to recognize our steering committee members who some of whom weren't able to be here today, but I'm sure they're watching on Facebook. Bonnie Hughes with LSU Oshner, LaRonda Coleman with the Department of Public Health, Shelley Ryan Gray also with the Department of Public Health, Dallas Coleman with the Willis Knighton Health Center, and Essie Kennerson with the Humana Foundation. So thank you all for this opportunity. Entertain any questions about the project, and I hope that everyone that hears about it will take the opportunity to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I didn't know if Ms. Johnson, before she left out, Ms. Sharon, did you have a word that you want to say, ma'am? They didn't tell nobody that you was from my district, so I want to let everybody know that you was from District G, and that I appreciate you not only being recognized for the work that you do, but for you accepting to go and be a part of the Rose tournament. That's real large, that's big, and also, I mean, I didn't know at first, but you're the only African American to be invited to do so. So I just want to say I appreciate you and your efforts, and have a safe trip.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for representing us.
Perkins, anything else?
No, I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Reports, anyone have a question or response to reports? I believe Mr. Clark gave us a report yesterday. Mr. Clark, did you have anything you want to add? I don't think you heard. Okay, Madam Clerk, is there any legislation to be added today?
There's not.
Okay, and that brings us to the following request to speak. Councilman Bowman will control the time.
To Ken Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Mayor, Chief. Kenneth Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue, 71105. Thanks to John's text, the governor lifted the mask mandate, which was scheduled to expire tomorrow, so it will expire. Don't know what that means for council seating. I think it means we can hopefully open more chairs. A couple things I'd like to share. This Saturday on Halloween Eve, the Scouts will be picking up canned goods. These bags were placed on our block on Saturday the 16th. They want canned goods, boxed foods, rice, dried beans, macaroni, things like that. Pick starts at 9 o'clock. They don't say this, I wish they did, but before you put your items in there, make sure they've been in your pantry forever and maybe they expired in 2017. So throw them out, don't give them to the Scouts. 16 years ago today, as a rabid Chicago White Sox fans, we celebrated sweeping the Houston Astros when they were in the National League. And tonight they open at home. And I have two sons who are huge Braves fans, so go Braves, sorry. And somebody asked me, I hadn't reported on this in probably a year, but my wife still doesn't smoke, and it's been 1,662 days, and I think we've not spent about $23,000 on smokes in that time. And as far as the police and fire pay raise, I was looking at the budgets proposed for 22, and I'm very appreciative of the 2.75% for the classified people recommended. I think y'all would approve that. And I believe, Chief, 13% would be the goal for public safety. I really think it's sustainable long-term with the sales tax growth, which is up 17%. Sales for September are finished. They'll be reported as October, and we'll know on Monday, November 1st. But I think going into the budget hearing on the 11th and 12th, by that time we'll have 10 of the 12 months in, which is 5/6 of the year. So look really hard. I still like the idea, if it's legal, to pay the entire premium for the public safety personnel on their health care. The problem with salary increases, it's good for the salary, but for every $3.05, the city must contribute by law $1 for police retirement, and roughly for every $3.36, the city must contribute $1 for fire retirement. That's another way to look at it. Instead of giving the percentage on $1, I look at it as, when does another dollar have to be coughed up? And it has to be coughed up a lot. So look really hard at trying to take care of the entire health care premium for our public safety people. And be really careful Sunday night. Watch out for the little ones. Thank you.
Jeremiah Manger.
Jeremiah Munson, 102 Derrick Lane, Pollock, Louisiana. I'm just here today to speak in favor of the zoning case number 21139-C, commercial or residential to commercial zoning. Just thank y'all for y'all consideration on it. All right. That's it.
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
I'm sorry.
I never heard a word you said, so I don't know whether I'm for it or against it. But if you will
I'm
speak
sorry.
into the mic and look here, don't look over there, because they're not part of this.
Okay,
You
I
come
apologize.
right here and give me, Mike can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, sorry about that. All right, my name's Jeremiah Munson. I live 102 Derrick Lane, Pollock, Louisiana. I'm just here to just speak in favor of a rezoning case. We did all of our meetings, everything with the parish. We didn't have any opposition voice that I'm aware of to it. So just here to say that I support it.
And which one is that?
That is the number 21139-C, the Gladstone Boulevard.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you.
What's
Yes,
your
ma'am.
connection to that zoning case?
I'm a friend of the owner of the property. I'm an assistant translator. I just kind of help because he's foreign, so a little easier for me to communicate for him sometimes.
And what's his rationale for wanting to make the zoning change?
He's hoping to do a medical clinic or doctor's office, something along those lines, just take the property from its current state, clean it up, and essentially have it to where it's a functioning business, not just a vacant property sitting there as an eyesore.
And is it currently a residential piece of property?
Yes, ma'am. It's currently zoned residential. Yes, ma'am.
Is it a single family or is it multifamily? Is it like
I
apartments?
believe it's single family.
And he doesn't see any possibility of just cleaning the property up and letting it stay residential? He doesn't see a possibility of that?
It's just not the direction I think he's wanting to go. He's wanting to more try to turn it to a doctor's office and essentially be more of a landlord with it, if that makes sense.
I hear you. There's when we get to that, I have some other things to add. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101. No jokes today. But we do have a problem over in the Highland area at Oak Meadows Apartments. And I want the patrol people to come out, hopefully, to Centenary Boulevard tonight and do a thorough check on Centenary and through Oak Meadows Apartments because of the problem that we just had 2 days ago. And the reason is that I was going to meet my cab driver Sunday morning to go to church. And this Luciana Taylor, she came out, I don't know why she was up at the main gate, but she was causing a lot of trouble and complaints at the apartment. And Larry Crawford came to pick me up. As I said, she had 3 friends who tried to attempt to hurt me, and Larry drove up and he saw what was going on. She was accusing me, saying that I had something to do with her brother, who I don't know. And I told her to leave me alone. She smacked me in the back of the head for just no reason, and it hurt. She accused me of doing something to her brother. I don't know her brother. I don't know the woman. I don't know her 3 friends. I tried to make a police report. They wouldn't let me. So my driver, Larry, and I drove over to the Shoppers Value in the Sunset area, and we made the report to a lady named Sammy, R-E-I-C-H. It's hard for me to pronounce her name. But she was there checking out something in that area, and we mentioned to her what happened, that the woman wore a pink skirt and braided black hair. She took the report and wrote it down. Everything that was said was written down. And then I told her that if they catch this woman, I want something done immediately. I did not deserve to get smacked in the back of the head for no reason, nor did I deserve getting accused for something I knew nothing of. This woman is psychotic. She is sick. And I even told the manager what happened by the time I came back from church. And the manager told me that I needed to come the next morning to the office and see if by any chance that there was a picture of her that I might be able to identify. And when I did, I said, that's her. I've got the report number at my home that I was given. And I want the manager was given, I was giving the manager the same thing. So that's why we need something done. We need patrolmen and patrol women to come over, hopefully this evening, and see if they can do something about it by keeping an eye out for this woman in case she comes back up to the main gate. So we need help. This is just ridiculous, and it's uncalled for, it's unacceptable and reprehensible, and it will not be tolerated, and I won't put up with it. So we just need help. Please get something done if you could. Thank
Mr.
you.
Sammy Mears, do you mind talking right now to Chief Smith possibly, and then we can see if we can get the
Well, I was
CLO
going to talk to
connected?
Chief Wayne Smith earlier, but he had to go to another meeting, and that's why I
Well,
probably
there's
had...
somebody here from the police department.
I'm not going to put up with this. I got smacked for no reason. I don't even know this woman. I don't want her hanging around the property. She was already evicted from the property, and she's supposed to be banned from the property, too.
So Sammy, when you went to make a police report, what did the police come out there? What happened?
No, see, the thing is, we were going to report, but this guy with long, raggedy, ugly-looking hair told us, "Get on out of here." He said, "Go on, everything's all right." But we were not going. We went on ahead and left immediately because of what happened.
Well,
but what we did was we got the Shoppers Value in the Sunset area, and this lady named Sammy Reach was there, so we gave the report to her, and it's in the computer system. So if they find this woman, I want her arrested immediately, and I'm going to press charges.
Well, I think that the police, you need to report it to the police department. Maybe somebody back there could help Sammy.
We'll try to get you some help, okay?
Okay.
Sammy?
Sammy, they're gonna talk to you right now, okay?
I'll be back.
You know, I did my ride-along 2 weeks ago over there, and we actually stopped, and I was looking for Sammy because there was an issue at those apartments that day.
Yeah.
Johnny Johnson.
Good afternoon. My name is Johnny Johnson, and I live at 503 East Dazelle Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104. This is my first time ever attending or wanting to speak to a city councilman. I get involved with the community. I have a problem, and I'm quite sure if you've driven down Erie Drive coming toward town from East Washington, the light at East Washington and the light at East Olive, there's a lump of trees and there's some hedge growth we cannot see coming across to East Dazelle going on the other side of Erie. Either way to get here, those trees are so big, they haven't been trimmed. If we could get, because we can't see. You can't see the cars coming up Erie, cannot see who's crossing over to get to the other side. So they're going 45 miles an hour. If the light at Erie at East Washington is green, they're just sailing on through. So they can't see either who's trying to get across or who's crossing over. There's been numerous, a couple of weeks ago, there was a bad accident because the driver's coming this way and we're crossing over. They can't see. So I've called a couple of years ago and they told me it was a Louisiana state's problem.
Ms. Johnson, let me tell you, I'm so glad you came, and I want you to always feel welcome to come back. But I've got the answer. You're to solve your problem. Henry Whitehorn. He is the man that can make mountains move. So Mr. Whitehorn will visit with you. If you go right there and see that CAO, he runs the ship here.
Okay, because
nothing don't happen unless he says go.
Miss Johnny,
Yeah,
I'll work
'cause-
with- since it's a state road, I'll work with Chief Whitehorn so we can get that sorted out.
Yeah, because it's a public, it's been numerous of wrecks, if y'all, could go back and
he'll fix it, I
and
promise.
see how many accidents that has happened at that intersection, because it's not good for, the public, or the citizens of Shreveport that travels that road
Well, that's
every day.
exactly right.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
You
could
just
y'all
go right
look
by and
into
see
that?
Mr. Whitehorn, give him your name and number.
Okay.
And I promise you he'll take care of it.
I've met him once before.
Well, he's a good man.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
he is. Thank you so much here.
Right, Jane?
That's right.
We're telling the truth, ain't we?
Yes, sir. Tell my coffee, take care of me.
Me too.
Matthew Saint Amant.
Hello, my name is Matthew Sanama. I reside at 831 Ontario Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm here to request that the City Council vote in favor of the zoning change on for Willard and Piermont, and to possibly answer any questions. Went through a process of the MPC application as far as getting local input for the neighbors and for the people in that area. Went through that process, had a very good meeting, had some local business owners in that area, also with some local residents who came and asked any questions, and nobody opposed our application as far as getting zoned. So I'm asking y'all to please vote in favor for that. Thank you.
William Bradford.
Good afternoon, William Bradford, Blanchard Walker, O'Quinn and Roberts on behalf of CenterPoint Energy. My address is 333 Texas Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, Suite 700. I wanted to say good afternoon to the CAO, the mayor, and the members of the council. We're here on ordinance number 150 as it relates to the right-of-way discussion that's been ongoing. We appreciate the opportunity to appear before the council, the meetings with the mayor, with the staff, as well as with the council, the infrastructure committee meeting. I think we made a lot of good inroads during that process. We're here specifically to support the amendments offered by Councilman Nicholson as it relates to that ordinance. Particularly, we think it moves the ball forward. We do still have some reservations and concerns that we will address as this rolls out, but we do think that this is a positive step in moving this ball forward. One other item that we did want to bring to the attention of the administration as well as to the council is that the implementation date being November 1st. There are some requirements in the current legislation in Ordinance 150 that may be time prohibitive, and so we did make the suggestion, I believe in an email to the council, that we do an effective date of January 1. That would allow all the utilities to come online, as well as I believe the engineering department has to spin up some kind of review process as well. It's just a suggestion from us, but we do support those three amendments that are on the agenda as well for Ordinance 150. And any questions related to the process, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you so much.
I didn't. I see that the attorneys like to speak to the attorneys, don't they? That's what it is. I got it. I see Mike Corbin in the back. I didn't know if you had something you wanted to share or add also, Mr. Corbin.
Mike, before you speak, I want you to tell the folks how old your grandmother is.
101.
And she's still driving.
102 in January.
Thank you.
Lives
You
by
need to bring
herself,
her
drives.
down there and let us honor her.
And I'll send you a description of her car so you can watch it. Michael Corbin, External Affairs Manager, SWEPCO, 428 Travis Street. I think I've emailed all of you. SWEPCO is supportive of Councilman Nicholson's amendments to this ordinance. Do understand CenterPoint's request to push it forward. November 1st is looming right around the corner, and if that's what the council chooses to do, we would support that as well, because we want to be sure we have a platform ready, that our people are trained and know what to do, and that we don't have any missteps as this moves forward. But basically, our ask is that you support Councilman Nicholson's amendments on this, and if you want to push it forward, if the city feels like we need to push it forward for logistical purposes, then we would support that as well.
Thank you. Marvin Muhammad.
Marvin Muhammad, 2800 Hersey D. Wilson. I'm going to start off by reading the definition. That definition is performance bond. A performance bond is issued to one party of a contract as a guarantee against the failure of the other party to meet obligations specified in the contract. A performance bond is usually provided by a bank or an insurance company to make sure a contractor completes designated projects. So I come today to speak on Resolution 135. First of all, I'd like to commend Councilman Green for, I believe, a very timely submission, because this introduction, it is introduced to right or wrong. I listened to earlier in this meeting, and the question was why? Why, after sitting there, we've been here 1896, I believe, or so, why that black academic has yet to be recognized, be tenured? Well, the answer is simple. There's always someone putting a stumbling block, impeding, restricting. And that's the same thing that happened with the introduction of Amendment 87 back on September the 16th. At the time, the author said, and I'll quote that, if the city of Shreveport doesn't do or have performance bond for all contracts, then they should. However, it's been now 2 months plus, and we yet have seen legislation introducing a performance bond, making it mandatory for all city contracts. So it leads me to believe that it was to restrict, to impede, to stop, to hinder progress. The 5-year, $9.5 million contract, in the previous amendment, it suggested that a performance bond should be done for the whole contract. That's laughable at best. Why? Because the contract is a service-oriented contract, meaning that work is completed and work is then paid. Not only was it not, is it yearly, but it was monthly. By definition, a performance bond doesn't even guarantee the work, because if the work hasn't been performed monthly, then there's no payment by the city. So we have to stop this. This has been a very feel-good city council meeting with the dads on duty and other accolades that was here. But in order to move this city forward, we have to begin making decisions and putting forth policy that actually makes things happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion Morris. Marion Morris. That's it, right? Marion. The Marion or Tony Morris? No. That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Real quick before we go on, I don't know if anybody was going to mention it, but I feel like I need to. I want to congratulate Chief J.P. Lane for his provisional appointment as acting fire chief. I've known him for many years. I think it's a great choice by the mayor, and anything that I can do as a councilman or public safety chair, let me know, but congratulations.
I turned in a slip.
Let us check right quick.
No, as a citizen.
Watch it. Did you turn it in on time? That was the problem.
Excuse me?
Did you turn it in?
I
Did you turn it in on time?
I don't think the meeting had begun, but
No.
I'm not quite sure.
Did you turn it in on time with the
Did you hear
question?
what I just said? I'm not sure sure, but I don't think the meeting had begun. Now, what is on time? What is on time?
Sorry.
Respond, Danielle.
At 3 o'clock, it has to be turned in before the meeting. 3 p.m. is what the council rules state.
It's a sign outside that state that it has to be turned in by 3.
Okay, then I missed that sign, and I do apologize for missing that sign, but I did turn in the document.
You did?
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am, you did. I'm agreeing with
You
you.
said I did.
No, he didn't. No, ma'am, he didn't say that. I'm sitting right here, I didn't hear it.
Okay, at the interim of all that you just said, and though the meeting did not start at 3 o'clock.
Ms. Glover, I'm not here to debate back and forth about that. Okay, let's move on to the
Yes,
next.
okay. Councilman, we have now an executive appointment to be considered today. The first one is Civil Service Board Lieutenant Michael Carter. Any discussion? Wait a minute, I gotta have a motion. Getting ahead of myself there. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second?
Discussion, Mr. Dean.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, the city attorney has advised us that Judge Ramon Lafitte ruled last week or early this week that confirming Lieutenant Carter to the Civil Service Board is a ministerial duty. We have an obligation as elected officials to perform. My hope is that another member will second my motion, that a majority will vote in favor of the confirmation, that we can move on from this issue.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
point of order, that motion is dead for lack of a second.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on.
Well, I was about to second it before the point of order went in, just so we
Okay,
can
I'm
get
sorry.
through this.
We have a second
Mhm.
for the record?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilwoman Fuller. Any discussion? Let's vote.
So if we vote no, what happens?
You asking me?
Yes.
You could be subject to contempt of court, which could subject you to fines or unlikely imprisonment. And then, if you lose, then it could subject you to the payment of attorney's fees.
Okay, please vote.
So ultimately, we're saying into the record that people are voting, but they're at least voting because they don't want to be in contempt of court and with reluctance. So that's clear.
I'll say by way of my final remark on this vote that it's perfectly acceptable to enter a yes vote under protest, but it's unlawful based on the district court's ruling to refuse to perform this ministerial duty.
That is correct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Councilman Green has the floor.
The way I vote, I'm not objecting to the duty. I'm just not ready to vote yes today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Everybody voted? Okay.
That's what I.
What's the deadline?
What's the deadline? Count.
Today.
Okay, let's vote. Okay, that passes 4-2. And Downtown Development Board, Kathleen Malone, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilman Butcher. Any discussion? Let's vote. That passes 7-0. There are no items on the consent agenda for the introduction or to be adopted. Madam Clerk, will you please proceed with the retro agenda legislation?
Resolution 119, encouraging the Metropolitan Planning Commission to place a moratorium on the issuance of any occupational licenses and certificates of occupancy for liquor stores, retail sales of alcohol liquor, other than renewals for a period of 6 months. And Amendment 1 was previously adopted by the council, and there is currently an Amendment number 2 to this resolution. Amendment number 2, it deletes and removes from the file the original proposed Resolution 119 of 2021 and the previously adopted Amendment Number 1 to Resolution 119 of 2021 and substitutes the attached Amendment Number 2 to Resolution Number 119 of 2021. This amendment clarifies that the moratorium on the issuance of occupational licenses and certificates of occupancy for liquor stores, retail sales of alcohol liquor will not affect those already approved that have not yet been issued their occupational license or certificate of occupancy.
So move for amendment?
Second.
Motion has been made by Councilwoman Taylor and second by Councilman Nichols. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Councilman Bowman.
So I was late when you all discussed that on 2 weeks ago. So the 6 months was no compromise to 3 months, and then go back and check after 3 months. 90 days, and then 90 days after the 90-day period, then we see where or how far has the MPC or Mr. Clark and his team has gotten on that. Or I know we went to the.
Remember that this isn't binding, that they have to actually agree to this with a vote of the MPC. They can take this up and look at it and adjust it how they want. It might be best just to lobby them to see what they'll do politically.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say in response to Councilman Bowman's question that our initial proposition was a one-year moratorium. 6 months is the compromise. I respect there may be a diversity of opinions on the council regarding this legislation, but my view is that 6 months is necessary for the MPC to conduct the comprehensive reevaluation of where we place liquor stores in this city. And so I urge my colleagues to support the legislation.
And as we look at the 6 months in that particular process, if they're deemed, if in their findings that they seem to desire more time to complete, then we can look at that too. But I'm not going to reduce it to 90 days. That's not sufficient enough time to go in and do that. The 6 months was the median that we agreed upon. In that point, in speaking with Mr. Clark, and it is my hope and desire that the MPC will take this and run with it. So we can definitely get an impact study on the proliferation of liquor stores, specifically where I find in black and brown communities where the demand is not warranted.
Does the MPC have the authority to place the moratorium?
You have the ability to place the moratorium?
I mean, they have that authority to
We
do-
barely have we barely have the authority to ask them to do it. They can look at this and say that they can't, we don't want to do that the way they did with the last thing we sent like this.
Mr. Chairman, I think there's some diversity of opinion on the scope of the council's authority to do this without MPC action. We're not trying to do that, as Councilwoman Fuller has just pointed out. This is a request to the MPC.
Correct.
To implement the 6-month moratorium. That's what this legislation is.
Well, are we being, do we overwhelming telling people we're anti-business because of people like Brookshire's? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll say, as I said yesterday, that in response to a question Councilman Butcher asked regarding the Brookshires being constructed in his district, I answered that I thought this moratorium would impact that Brookshire's, but it will not, because
it will not?
It will not.
Oh, okay.
Because that Brookshire's is not going to attempt to sell liquor, and so there's not going to be an issue there.
But let's say they do get in there and decide they do want to sell packaged liquor. Maybe that's part of their business plan. We don't know that at this point. I feel like that we have a mechanism in place, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine.
I think we have a mechanism in place right now that will do exactly what we're doing right now without the words of moratorium, which does send the message to businesses that we may be trying to hinder them. And I think that mechanism worked 3 council meetings ago whenever we didn't approve a liquor store on North Market. So
excuse me.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Chair.
Councilwoman Taylor, you know when you asked us to stop that up there on North Market, we supported you. And I feel this council will continue to support you. If you say that you don't want something, I promise you, I don't want to promise you, but I'm just saying, we're going to listen to you.
So
and that's what we did up there. We said,
And
she don't want it, we're gonna
And I
vote
can
no.
appreciate that. I can appreciate that, but I promise you, it's not my only council district that does not want liquor stores. Let's be clear on that. I can distinctly remember that when Mr. Woods wanted his liquor store, there was overwhelming opposition when it came there. And I'm gonna say again, you cannot argue the proliferation of liquor stores and black and brown communities where the demand is not there. And I understand what this council is doing. All we're doing is requesting. They could turn around and say, we're not gonna do it. We're requesting, we're looking at it. Are you mean to tell me that when we look and we have the data that turns around and support this on the surface, that we're okay with that? That's what this council will do. Previous councils has not done that, and we don't know what the next council will do that comes behind us as it relates to this. But if we have supportive data, hold on, Mr. Chairman, if there is supportive data to support it, then we can. I don't believe that Shreveport is sending a message that says we're anti-business and Amazon is right there and other companies are coming in here. Trust me, we don't have a shortage of liquor in this city, and I'm not anti-liquor at all. There is not a shortage of liquor. We can drive right out of here and you can go get a drink, for real. That's not the issue. But when I drive through mostly inner city communities, there's a liquor store right here, there's one right here. You come one around the corner right here, here's another one right here. So what are we saying to those individuals? Are we saying that the only amount of economic development that we can have in this area is this?
Let me say this, please, Mayor, I hate to drag you into this, but look, you're gonna have to step up and tell us. What's gonna happen January the 1st with MPC? Louisiana state law has changed.
Yes.
And so we're sitting here almost November, and so November and December, and come January, we're gonna have fireworks, explosions, and this whole thing in the MPC is fixing to change. It's gonna become, and excuse me, Mayor, don't mean this, it's gonna be Mayor Perkins's commission. It's gonna change.
More so hours. By city charter, it's going to be hours. But yes, on January 1st,
it's going to change. And you need to tell these people right here, say, look, you're forgetting about the MPC fixing to shift gears.
Yeah, we will have a lot more control over the MPC and the UDC that they apply for zoning in our city. Post-January, we will not be splitting those responsibilities with the parish, and it will be on our shoulders to determine what we want in our city when it comes to zoning. And something like this, we'll have a lot more authority with it.
Are we changing legislation that gives us that authority? Because right now, we don't have Texas Code Amendment authority without us sending the request and it going to them and then coming back to us.
Actually, by charter, that's not the case at all. By charter, the MPC is stood up by charter and answers to the mayor and the city council. And the board for the MPC will be primarily appointed by my office and confirmed by you all. So again, the parish involvement will be removed, and the MPC's responsibilities are enumerated in the charter on what they are supposed to do. Zoning is one of them.
There's $290,000 in the budget. I'm looking at that the parish is going to give you, and we'll discuss that later. But
yes.
I'm just saying it's going to change.
I'm gonna, if you can give me one moment, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna read off. I was actually looking at this recently.
So far in the weeds.
I will read off the responsibilities of the MPC according to our city charter. So, and it's gonna revert to that after January 1st. The charter says, one, the MPC's responsibility is to create and modify master plan, zoning plan, building permit plan, and ordinances for approval by city council. Two, make careful and comprehensive studies of the area and then make recommendations to city council based on and including for variances. Three, approve street changes, subdivisions, and plats, and some plan and special use applications. So the MPC's authority is very much going to come through my office and your approval as well,
That's right.
post January 1st.
And if-
That's just the point. Excuse me.
If you all don't think that prior zoning laws have come in and hindered black and brown communities, you out of your mind. This is why you have the proliferation of them in some areas versus other areas. Pay attention to it. This council, at this particular point in time, I'm saying this council may say no to a liquor store. But if we don't go over here and study and look and take the big step to go and pay attention to how our zoning laws are enforced in black and brown communities, you will have a continuous proliferation of a liquor store here, a liquor store here, a liquor store here. What is wrong with studying it? Because this is not anti-liquor at all. Why can't we look at economic development in the terms of distribution? Why can't we take these same liquor entities and come up with distribution where you go over here and you have these instances online, since we so technology savvy, where you can go and have this delivered to your home? But I do not think that it's wise at any given point for children to have to constantly look at liquor stores, one block here, one block here, one block here. You can vote it up or down. That's your choice. But my position is still going to be the same. There needs to be a study in this area, and there is sufficient data to support anything that I'm telling you.
Chairman,
Mr.
may I
Chairman, real
please?
quick. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman
Go ahead.
Bullock,
Thank you.
you're next.
We continually bring up what's good and what's bad for business when we have conversations like this, but what we forget is that what's good for the citizen, who is the consumer, is ultimately what's good for business. When we talk about this, land use, when we talk about liquor stores, you have an issue of use by right with where you can actually permit those, and that is in a higher intensity. But we've also allowed for the special permit in 2 other zones. That is why we're having this impact, because we've also had cases where, because you had that opportunity for use by right, to go out for that permit in that lower intensity zone, people could go to court and fight us on this. So the only way that we can actually make sure that we are doing something that's consistent, regardless of what we have on this council now, because the councilwoman has said to you, to all of us, and she's right, what we might do as far as blocking them in areas that we don't want might not be consistent to future councils, but what will be is consistent policy. And the way you change that is going to have to be by stopping adding any new liquor stores until you've done a study, because every time you add another one, it's another variable in the amount of liquor stores that you actually have. That's why we have to freeze it. That's the reason for the freeze. But I'm going back full circle to you. What's good for citizen consumers is ultimately what's good for business. What's not good for consumers, citizens, is deteriorating neighborhoods.
So why don't we just stop them in the neighborhoods? And we
We
can still
need-
do the study, but we can stop them in the neighborhoods if that's what the problem is.
Then why don't we just pass this so that the MPC can ultimately do what is surgically necessary to put forward a proper moratorium?
My question is very simple. Can this study, and we're talking about a 6-month moratorium, we will still be on the council in 6 months, or at least I think we will be, unless some of us go to jail. But
Careful, Councilman.
No, I'm talking about for the. But we'll still be here in 6 months. So my question is, can you do the study, and this is for Mr. Clark, can you do the study without the moratorium in place? I think you can. Mr. Clark?
This is where we disagree.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, your office is gonna be the one that's gonna be doing this study, and, you know,
I like that idea.
Now that we've kicked the MPC around quite a bit today, I will share with you that we can do a study, it will have no effect. It will not have the effect of a moratorium because while we're studying, there can still be applicants filing applications to apply for liquor stores in undesirable locations. But if you stop, as you started out, with just doing a moratorium to study the effectiveness and the locations and where ideal locations are for liquor stores, you will have information that we can present back to you that will assist you in making decisions and assist the MPC board in making the type of decisions I think that we all desire to be made.
That answer my question. That's all I want.
Okay.
And this is strictly just liquor stores, so new businesses, new restaurants, new.
It's just liquor stores.
Because we weren't clear the last. I'm being clear. I just want to be clear.
Packaged liquor stores does not impact restaurants, does not impact beer and wine sales.
Right.
Well, the title, if I'm not mistaken, it says liquor stores and retail sales of alcohol.
So we've run through this with the clerk of council and with Mr. Clark, and it is clear that this legislation is recommending to the NBC a moratorium on packaged liquor stores. There's no confusion about that, however anybody cares to vote.
Chairman, may I ask Mr. Clark, is it completely possible that you all take this directive and then do something that is more surgical so that we basically deal with the specific thing that we're looking at?
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
bring that back to us?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think this just opens up the door. I think, if I may, if you reflect back in history, and history is our best teacher of how we should go forward. If you reflect back, there's always been discussions and disgruntledness and confusion about the location of packaged liquor stores in black, brown, white, green, orange, purple, all the rainbow of color communities. And I think that basically what this does is, for the first time, we have the courage to do something to actually address the problem that we have kicked the can down the road for years and years and years, and had bloodbaths in these chambers for the MPC and the city council, and come up with recommendations for where liquor stores should be located. And then once we determine where they should be located, we can then have the courage to ensure that they be located in those areas. It's just like everything else. Zoning does not, contrary to what negative things are said about zoning, zoning does not prohibit, zoning protects. And as you said about where locations are, zoning protects residents and protects lighter business uses from the intrusiveness of heavy commercial activities and industrial activities. And I could go on with my lesson in zoning, but I'll be quiet.
My last comment will be, I think our whole, and Councilman Nicholson and I have talked about this, the whole way we deal with alcohol in the city of Shreveport needs to be looked at on a larger scale, not just this. And that's all I got.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll say Councilman Butcher's correct. He and I agree that we need to comprehensively reevaluate alcohol sales. We've had lots of discussion over the past several years now about physical separation, which is a law that prohibits stores like Brookshire's and Walmart from selling liquor. As best I can tell, it was instituted in the 90s as a protectionist measure to benefit a few liquor store owners. So is that something we want to continue? I don't know. Regardless of how we come out on that, I really would like to see us pass a moratorium so we can study all this. Thank you.
And then I think we're going to have to look at what our authorities actually are as far as text code amendments when we move forward in January.
I think so too. I think that that's still a confused issue, but I think at some point you will decide.
I don't even drink, and I think I'm gonna go get one.
I think I could really use one myself. Is that all, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I
Thank
appreciate you.
Okay, y'all, any further discussion? Let's vote.
On the amendment.
Oh, where we on the amendment?
This is on the amendment. Yes, sir.
Well,
That Pat,
that's fine.
one vote.
He was changing his vote.
I was changing to yes.
He was
Got me.
changing it to
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, that passes 7.
part.
We're gonna move to adopt.
Yeah, move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second, let's adopt, let's vote, please. I am too.
Go with
I gotta take care of that. And that passes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilman Green.
now does this mean that nobody can drink during this 6 months?
Doesn't wine and crack.
Communion, everything.
Councilman, it just means you're gonna have to go to one of the 5 liquor stores that's near where you live rather than go to a new one, 6th one, so you'll be
Get a
all
little
right.
2020. Okay,
Resolution 124 to establish an intergovernmental committee.
Move to postpone.
Second.
motion made and second, any discussion, let's vote.
Real quick, we're still working on this, right? I mean, this is not dead. Okay.
Does that include us some new chairs?
I wish.
And that motion passes to postpone.
Resolution 125 recognizing Project Celebration for its work to prevent and to assist the victims of domestic violence, to support Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second. Please vote.
Councilman Butcher, you have supported this every year.
Passes 7-0.
Every year that you have been on the council. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
project of mine that's near and dear to my heart for sure.
As well to me, so thank you for your support as
I
well.
support it. I just didn't co-sponsor. I support it.
Resolution 128 approving an annual payment in lieu of tax in accordance with a memorandum of understanding between the Shreveport Home Mortgage Authority and SPC Development LLC.
Move to postpone.
Second.
Motion to postpone, second. Any discussion? Let's vote. Motion postpone is approved.
Resolution 129, amending portions of Section 1 of the Shreveport, Louisiana City Council Rules of Procedure, and this requires a 2/3 vote to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Let's vote. That passes 7-0.
Resolution 130, honoring Dr. Andia Augustine Billy as the first African-American faculty member to tenure at Centenary College of Louisiana in their 196-year history.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
I just want to say one thing, since I didn't say anything earlier. I'm happy to be in this position as an alum of Centenary College to be able to recognize her, since it couldn't have happened when I was a student there, which was too late even then. I'm happy to be able to do this now.
Great.
Thank you.
Please vote. That passes 7-0. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with the introduction of resolutions?
Resolution 131, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Shreveport and United Nonprofits, Inc. Resolution 132, authorizing the mayor to execute an option to ground lease between the City of Shreveport and Shreveport HP Allendale LLC. Resolution 133, authorizing the mayor to execute an option to ground lease between the City of Shreveport and Shreveport Millennium Housing 4 LLC. Resolution 134, authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Shreveport and the State of Louisiana Facility Planning and Control Division of Administration for the City of Shreveport District 3 Road Rehabilitation, Planning, and Construction. And Resolution 135, to amend Resolution number 87 of 2021, which was adopted to execute a contract between the City of Shreveport, Louisiana and C. Edwards Concepts LLC to provide curbside recycling within the limits of Shreveport.
There's a motion to introduce the resolution.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with the introduction of ordinances?
Ordinance 172, amending the 2021 general fund budget. Ordinance 173, amending the 2021 Gulf Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 174, amending the 2021 budget for the general fund. Ordinance 175, amending the 2021 budget for the Riverfront Development Fund. Ordinance 176, to revise Chapter 22, Article 2, Building and Building Regulation Standards of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to distance of private improvements to city infrastructure. Ordinance 177, authorizing the issuance of an amount of $5,675,000 and no $100 of revenue bond series 2021 of the city of Shreveport, state of Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of said bonds, designating the date, denominations, place of payment, and paying agent of said bonds, providing for the payment thereof in principal and interest, approving the forms of a limited offering memorandum and bond placement agreement, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Ordinance 178, an ordinance to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code relative to garage sales and their approval process. Ordinance 179, zoning case number 21-136C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the northwest side of Shreveport-Barksdale Highway at the intersection of Riley Lane, Shreveport-Caddo Parish from C2 Corridor Commercial to C3 General Commercial District. Ordinance 180, zoning case number 21-139-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the north side of Gladstone Boulevard, approximately 260 feet west of Line Avenue, Shreveport-Caddo Parish from R2 Multifamily Residential District to CUC Urban Corridor District. Ordinance 181, zoning case number 20-21-147-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the north side of East Stevenson Street, approximately 260 feet west of Beverly Place, Shreveport-Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to R2 Multifamily Residential District. Ordinance 182, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of Jewella Avenue and Woodrow Street, Shreveport-Caddo Parish, from C2 Corridor Commercial District to C3 General Commercial District.
Is there a motion to introduce these ordinances?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have one thing with this zoning case, and I'm glad we've got 2 weeks to mull it over at Gladstone. When this is an encroachment into a residential street, not far from Byrd High School. Now, on one side of the street by Byrd, you've got the ice cream parlor and all of these other little small businesses that do contribute back to the neighborhood. And a dental office might not be a high intensity, but it's the first one, and then you might be encroaching further along a street. This isn't the same as being on a major thoroughfare with a buffer behind it. This is across the street from somebody's house. There are residential neighbors next door. And I've only heard a small amount of neighbors, but it's people for the most part who have had these experiences before, and they see the aftermath of it, because once that zoning changes, it stays, whether that use is there or not. And the next use might not be the most intense, but it can still be an issue. So right now, I'm really not in favor of it. And if you hear anything, like if you have any questions about it, I'd like to talk about it. But as it stands right now, I'm not comfortable with seeing that urban corridor go into the neighborhood street. Thank you.
Okay, you ready to vote?
We don't vote. I just
That's on,
want that on the record.
that's on 139, right?
Mhm.
Ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 122, declaring the city's interest in certain vacant land as surplus and our intention to transfer certain vacant land acquired by Shreveport Public Assembly and Recreation to Shreveport Common Inc. And this amendment was previously adopted.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
No.
Let's vote. Okay, that passes.
Ordinance
7-0.
123, declaring the city's interest in certain vacant land as surplus and our intention to transfer certain vacant land to the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. And this amendment previously was adopted by the council.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
I know what I said last time.
Okay, motion second, any discussion?
I'm
Let's vote.
sorry. This should be the last one.
Okay?
Are we getting
Right,
close?
attorney? Let's hear.
Yes, that's correct.
So we are close.
We're very close.
Okay.
Very close.
Nobody's going
All
to be
right, that
100%
passes,
happy,
7.
but we'll be done.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 145, an ordinance authorizing an encroachment into the city's public right-of-way located at 629 Spring Street and more fully described herein, and to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute an encroachment permit with Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. And that passes 7-0.
Ordinance 146, amending the 2021 Airport Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second, motion's made, second, in discussion, let's vote. That passes 7-0.
Ordinance 147, amending the 2021 General Fund budget.
So moved.
Second, any discussion? Let's vote. And that passes.
Ordinance 148, amending Section 10-66 of Chapter 10, Article 4, Division 2 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances with respect to Class 1 alcoholic beverage handling employee cards.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. That passes.
Ordinance 149, amending Section 10-69 of Chapter 10, Article 4, Division 2 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances with respect to the fee and term for alcoholic beverage handling employee cards.
Motion postponed.
Second.
A discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh,
Councilman Nichols.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not opposed to postponing this, but I'll reiterate that whenever it comes up for a final vote, my view is that we shouldn't increase a fee that is imposed on waiters and bartenders and grocery store checkers who sell alcohol. So I would be happy to dispose of this today, but if Councilman Green would like to postpone it, we can do that at a later date.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what I'd like to do is postpone it, Councilman, so that we could get an amendment to say what you just said has to go along with this.
Okay. Motion to postpone. Ready to vote? And that passes. Postpone.
Ordinance 150 to revise Chapter 78, Article 4, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Construction Excavations of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to construction, excavation, and bores in the city public right-of-way. And there is one amendment on this ordinance.
Do I have a motion?
So move on the amendment.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Pass. And that passes.
So move on the ordinance as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Discussion, John. If we don't, no, I'm just joking.
That passes.
Ordinance 151 to amend Chapter 102, Article 2 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to vehicle for hire licenses.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. And that passes.
Ordinance 124, zoning case number 21-76-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the southwest corner of Milam Street and Arkansas Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C3 General Commercial District.
Postpone.
Second.
Motion postponed, second, any discussion? Let's vote. That's been approved. Motion to postpone.
Ordinance 125, zoning case number 21-100-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the southeast corner of Piermont Road and Willard Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from R17 Single Family Residential to
Do I hear a motion?
C1.
I move to
Discussion.
move to postpone.
Move
and
postpone, I have a
discussion.
second.
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 With discussion, correct?
All
right, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, could we hear from Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark, would you please come, let us hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Step in there.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. You and I have had quite a bit of discussion about this rezoning. I have expressed concern about having 2 curb cuts onto Willard, which would have commercial traffic going by people's homes on a quiet residential street. And I understand you've been in communication with the traffic engineer about the possibility of a Piermont curb cut. What is the status of that discussion, please?
The applicant revised his site plan, and as you know, this is just a rezoning case, and it's not attached to a site plan. But he revised the site plan to have 1 curb cut on Piermont and 1 curb cut on the rear portion of the property on Willard, which in discussions, and we're just waiting on something in writing, and we will implement that in the site plan process. But in discussions with the traffic engineer, he felt that that wouldn't, because of the volume of traffic that's generated on Piermont in times other than high peak times, that would satisfy the concerns that we had about traffic getting on Willard and continuing down Willard.
And will we be able, as part of the site plan, to have a one-way directing traffic that's coming down to Willard to go to Piermont rather than back to Sherwood?
We can attempt to do that, and I think the applicant is amenable to that. We're not having any negative discussions about traffic, but we don't really feel that much traffic will go into any depths on Willard. We've driven it, we've explored it, and determined how we could come out and make left-hand turns at high traffic peak times by just immediately getting back on Fairfield and going to the signal light and making a turn.
As soon as the traffic engineer confirms in writing the Piermont curb cut, I'll be prepared to approve this rezoning.
And I think it will be coming pretty soon.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Councilman Nicholson and I have talked about this. I agree with him. I also think that there's one other tool that we have in our tool belt. If there does become a problem, that could, at some point, that street could be made one way if the business, where you can't turn to the left out of that, it could be one way. And I had that discussion with traffic engineering as well. So
Certainly something we could discuss as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please vote.
Postpone, yes.
Okay, that passed. Any table legislation?
Mr. Chairman, I move to remove from the table and to withdraw from the agenda ordinance 104.
104. Motion made. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. That poll.
And I'll say, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that
Yes.
Mr. Corbin and I for SWEPCO have discussed collaborating with the utilities on legislation to require the timely removal of pole stubs that you may all see in your districts as you drive around. I saw one, for example, right outside St. Mary Place, owned by our fine community partner, Oshner. It's just a 4-foot stub of a pole that's been hanging above one of their driveways for more than a year, as far as I can tell. But it's unsightly, and it's something that needs to be addressed.
Well, if I may add to that, there's one right now in front of First Pres that is not SWEPCO. We've established who it belongs to, and I'm just hoping that wonderful community partner will hurry up and get that done before the end of this week,
That would be delightful.
because there's a wedding this weekend.
The pictures will be better without the stub.
Well, it's a safety hazard too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, any other tabled legislation to be removed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, we have no property standards, ABO appeal. We have MPC case 21-101C appeal to consider today. Belcher Enterprise Construction Remodeling.
He asked for a postponement.
Okay, motion to postpone. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? Let's vote. Okay, that passes. Are there any appeals, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Any reports from officers, boards, committees? Is there a clerk's report?
I don't have one, sir.
Okay, Mayor Perkins, do you have any additional communication?
I don't have any, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I have one thing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So I think as the mayor being an alumni of this, we recognized the American Cancer Society last meeting about the real men wear pink. I'm wearing pink. I've only got one pink shirt, so I'm having to rewash it over and over again. But a lot of people have donated, but there's only one person sitting on this horseshoe that's donated to me, and I'm losing badly. So I challenge everybody up here to go online, Real Men Wear Pink, Northwest Louisiana American Cancer Society, and donate. We have until Friday to do that. It goes to a good cause, and
You can't
no, I don't want cash. But I would appreciate all my colleagues.
Councilman, send an email to everybody.
What's that?
I said send an email to everybody with the link on it.
I will. I'll do that.
All right. Any other council member communication?
Mr. Mayor, two things. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good one. And I want to personally thank you on behalf of the Hickman family for making the phone calls to Mayor Williams and to the president of Northwestern. Unfortunately, one of our Shreveport residents who's a student at Northwestern was shot during homecoming festivities, and he is doing well, opening his eyes, moving his fingers. He was shot in the back. And so I pray that you would continuously keep the Hickman family in your prayers and for the prayers of their son to make a full recovery. But thank you for the additional support that you gave for the family. I really appreciate that.
Members, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
We have, Valencia Park has a basketball court mural that's being unveiled on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Love for all of you to join us to see it. Artists Ben Moss and Cadavian. Why did Cadavian's last name just leave
Baylor.
Baylor. Oh my gosh. I just was talking to him yesterday. But very, very talented artists that were able to lend their talent to this project, and it's gorgeous. Magnet students were able to help, and I think it's going to be an asset to the community.
District G talent. District G talent.
It is.
Councilman Green.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say for the record, there's supposed to be a meeting with the Cedar Grove Neighborhood Association on November the 2nd. Accountability meeting, I believe they announced. And I just want to put on record, I won't be able to be there. I have a procedure that I got to do at the doctor's office, and I won't be able to be there. So I just wanted to just state that for the record.
Want me to go in your place?
Huh?
Want me to be there in your place?
It was the 7th?
I think it's December the 7th. I'll have to go back.
No, you said November.
They may be having another meeting. I think the
Yeah, they
accountability
split
is
us
the
up.
7th.
They split us up,
Oh, did they?
probably.
Okay.
Councilman Bowman.
I did want to, Councilman Butcher and I were speaking, so that it's another tabled piece of legislation that needs to come off, and we'll talk about doing that next time. I thought that it was something inclusive, and I guess I was looking at it wrong on the Smoke-Free Act as far as what medical buildings, dentist offices, and whatever, the amount of footage that was on there. So I just want to look at that, and we can remove that next meeting. I also, I don't know if Gary's here, but there's a sign down at I-49 at Kings Highway. If they can look at maybe removing that or getting some help from the state or whoever it belongs to. It's a hospital sign, but it just needs to be removed or put back up if we can.
And for MLK Cooper Road, there's a neighborhood participation meeting November 9th, is that correct, Mr. Clark? At 4 o'clock regarding owners wanting to discuss the thrift store moving into the area. You'll be at the location, 2103 David Raines Road.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Please vote.